Inflation under President Biden isn't letting up, with the average family paying more than $400 a month extra since last year for the same goods. But Biden and Democrats are still pushing for more spending and higher taxes instead of just embracing basic supply-side economics. Joining me now to discuss is Kevin Hassett, former Council of Economic Advisors chair and author of The Drift: Stopping America's Slide into Socialism. I can't wait to read that book, Kevin. Good to see you. We called each other today and had the same outfit on: gray suits, blue ties, red ties and blue shirts. So listen, if you're going to make a plan to go, how do I crash the American economy? Could Joe Biden do it any better by saying, let's raise rates, increase regulation, and threaten higher taxes?
Yeah, I think that if he actually enacted higher taxes, it would be the only thing that would be worse. But, right now, the economy had 2 negative quarters, and now it's kind of teetering on the brink of recession. That's what markets expect next year. Inflation's out of control in a way that we haven't seen since the 1970s. And it's not an accident. It's not, Putin's fault. It's not Putin's price hike. It's Biden's, because his policies were actually crafted as if by design to make the situation that we now see. If you remember, they had modern monetary theory.
That's right.
Right, and they despise. How's that working for you? And they despise supply side economics, and this is what you get when you're just sort of a science denier. They accuse Republicans of being science deniers, but the economic literature is clear that what we did in the Trump administration worked, and they're reversing that stuff now, and you're seeing the results.
Or even through the Reagan years. I mean, it actually works. But we just talked about, the average family is paying $400 more a month because of inflation. Their salaries have actually gone down when you factor in inflation by 2.8%. But all right now, we're into December. We're looking towards the Christmas, the holiday shopping season. Are people spending, or are they staying home with their wallets?
This is one of the things that's been the biggest surprise to me in the economic data in a really long time, which is, you said that because people's salaries haven't kept up with inflation, everybody's real income is down, but real spending is up. And so spending year over year is up almost 4%. It's going to be a very strong Christmas, it looks like, in the data that we're hearing and in the anecdotes. But again, income is down. And so what that means is that people are borrowing like crazy. In fact, credit card debt year over year is up 15%. 15%. That's the kind of increase that can't be sustained. But people right now are borrowing like crazy and consuming, even though their incomes haven't kept up with inflation. And I think that it means that they expect that if there's a recession, which the Fed is trying to engineer next year, that there's going to be another big bailout. So that's my explanation for it.
Oh, well, I don't know that the Fed is or Biden's going to bail people out of their credit card debt. And if the government doesn't bail them out and they have all this massive debt and their incomes have gone down, what does that mean for the economy?
Right. It means that you thought Joe Biden's economy couldn't get worse, but it can. And I think that what's going on now is that we're inching along, not going into a deep recession because people are borrowing like crazy. But one of the things that happens, right, is that when everybody does that, then people start to default. When people start to default, then everybody gets nervous about the banks. And you can remember the financial crisis in 2008. Well, going into the financial crisis, basically we had a better situation than we have now in most places. The other thing, the other shoe that's going to drop is real estate prices. I've been following real estate really closely for the last 6-7 months, because with the Fed rate hikes, you would expect real estate prices to go down. But what's happened instead is that nobody's selling their house. Everybody's just sitting on the inventory because they don't want to take a big loss. But sooner or later, people are going to have to move. And when that happens, then people are going to maybe lose a lot of money on their houses, start handing the houses back to the banks at the same time that all this credit card debt has been run up. It's a recipe for a really hard time.
I was watching Twitter, and Ron Klain, the White House chief of staff, right before Thanksgiving, put out a tweet, and it was trying to give probably young hipsters, as they went home and talked to their parents, to talk about all the Joe Biden successes, and that Joe Biden is tackling inflation, because inflation in June, the CPI was at 9.1%. In November, it was 7.7%. So it's come down a little bit, and wild success. Has Joe Biden done anything? Can you name one thing, maybe except for releasing oil from the Strategic Oil Reserve, which is not a long-term solution? Anything Joe Biden has done to address inflation?
No, and in fact, it's one of the things that they do very effectively, which is basically lie about the economy. And lie is kind of a strong word. I don't usually use it, but that's really what they're doing. And so, for example, they claim that they're fighting inflation because they've had the biggest deficit reduction of any president ever, right? But if you go back and look in 2019, the Congressional Budget Office forecasted what 2023 spending would be. And now we know what 2023 spending will be after the reduction in the COVID relief. And it's $600 billion higher than we thought in 2019. And so the increase in spending under the Democrats and Joe Biden is something that's unprecedented. And so don't let them trick you into thinking that they're deficit reducers, but they keep saying it every day. And the mainstream media, of course, echoes it.
They just repeat it. And I think people think, oh, wow, this is going really great because the media tells me that it is. And again, $30 trillion in debt, no end in sight, very challenging. But it looks like the Fed is going to start lowering rates. It is seeming to pull back from its 75 basis point hikes that it has been doing. The Fed watchers are saying maybe 50 points. Is this going to be too much too soon, do you think?
Right. Well, you remember how the Fed was in denial for the longest time and they said it's transitory.
Right, it's transitory, right.
Well, they're still kind of, so do you know what the Fed staff is saying inflation's going to be a little more than a year from now?
No.
2%.
Oh, the target.
Yeah.
Right, the target at 2%,
it's just amazing. Oh, it's a miracle. It's transitory still, in other words. And so what the Fed is signaling now is that they're going to give us 50 basis points at the next meeting. And then they're going to shift to give us 25 basis points next year until inflation's under control. And that, would work if inflation were transitory. But I think that what's going to happen is that markets and consumers are going to be surprised on the upside that the Fed won't be able to accomplish that. And it really is quite astonishing that they're still basically saying it's transitory.
As you look inside of, when they make these projections that, a little over a year from now, inflation's going to be at the target of 2%. Is this just bold-faced lying? I mean, they can't believe that we're going to get there, can they? Or do they believe that the policies are going to work and we're going to have only 2% a little over a year from now?
I have this old math joke, which I don't really dare say, but all proof in Washington proceeds by induction, which is just that something is true today if it was true yesterday. And so what happens is that the Fed, back in the 60s, some guys built a model that said, here's how the economy works, and they still believe it. They haven't paid attention to the science. They haven't updated their priors on how things work. And when I was CEA chair, I would have lunch with the Fed chair almost about once a month. And I would go over there and talk about what the staff was saying. And it was really not consistent with modern science, I would say, in many ways, especially because it was in denial about supply side economics. And so I don't think the staff is lying. I think that
they believe it.
Yeah, because institutionally, if there's like some model that at some point people said this model works, then if you're a young guy that goes in and says, hey, we can't use that model, then they don't promote you, you don't move forward. And so the bureaucracy is basically taking these old 1960s and 70s Keynesian models and still using them.
You would think shame might get to them at one point by saying these things publicly and being so wrong, they might try to change course. But Kevin Hassett, I guess not. It's great to see you in person. Thank you.
Yeah, it's great to see you too.
Wonderful. All right.